And on their name, put some respect. And yeah. I think it's time for reality check. Yeah, reality check. Yeah, I think it's time for reality check. Yeah, reality check. For the young and the old, reality check. Yeah, the heal your soul, reality check. Get ready for the show.
I'm sorry. Damn. It's the midnight hour. And when it gets dark, the werewolf in me, it starts to attack me. 'Cause, see, I'm a Bear fan. And being a Bear fan, we lose all the time. But I'm not gonna be like the Cubs. Later for next year. Okay, family, what up, though? I hope everybody's happy. I want to read this real quickly. My first abusive relationship was with God. Let me get my glasses. I wear glasses, but I stopped wearing them, but I wear them now every now and then. Conditioned to not fear, conditioned to not trust in myself, to not think for myself, to not listen to my needs, to repress natural desires and feelings, conditioned to believe I am worthless, broken, and sinful, conditioned to believe I needed to be saved. And in order to be saved, I needed to submit myself completely to His will, whatever may cause, whatever may come. Threatened that if I ever spoke up against abuse or voiced my questions, I would be shunned. And in that, I was taught to believe this was from a loving God. Yes. This is a very interesting thing because, see, what you wrote is very important because in a way we are conditioned. We are, in a sense, we do face an abusive relationship because most of the time they teach you that old time religion that that you're born in sin, and so therefore you're going to suffer. What made you think about that? I can't hear you. Oh, you're muted. Turn on your. Yeah.
My bad. I can't lie. I didn't write that. I happened across it on my Facebook timeline, and when I saw it, it just was very whoa. And I think I commented whoa when I saw it because I don't know if people have considered that unlearn moment. And I know I've told you a couple times, and this will probably sound like a broken clock moment as you continue to listen to me this year. But I think this year I would like to unlearn and relearn. And I'm unlearning and relearning things. I think that society as a whole, I'm talking everybody, needs to unlearn and relearn some things. And then Black America has some specific assignments. Maybe it's the educator in me or the overachiever. I'm not sure. But I think we have some extra work to do because we have some extra work to do. And we can't get to that work until we do some other work. And then, we've talked about religion and spirituality and, beliefs and what we know. And we've had talks around it. But then I saw that post and I said, whoa, people leave the church, but maybe they're not thinking about anything more than the tangible math wasn't mathing. Like they saw the preacher, pastor, deacon talking to all the baby mamas. It's like, I don't know if that makes any sense. Or maybe the pastor and the first lady have Bentleys, which I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm not saying anybody shouldn't have the car that they want. However, if you are in a service role like this, if your congregation doesn't have Bentleys, maybe the math ain't mathin', right? Like we giving this money every week and we're seeing things, but it's not making sense. But then I see you rolling in the parking lot with your Bentley, and then I say, oh shit, she got one too. Both of y'all run. You know, maybe it's like that. Maybe you got one of those mega churches, you got jets. And again, if you got an ATM in the lobby of your church, maybe you just saw it and was like, this shit ain't making sense. I didn't make that up. I saw that in a mega church. We went when I was younger to the church down the road for voting season. Mm-hmm. And that was always very strange to go vote at a church, even though separation of church and state. Anyway, and we waited in this long ass line, and it spiraled all the way down to the basement where they had the voting booths or whatever. And in the lobby of the church, not only did it have like a gift shop, which
I've been gift shop.
Oh, okay. Have you been to the National Cathedral in DC?
No.
Like it's a monument, right? So then they have a gift shop. It's a museum. Also, it's still an active church. I knew she was going to call me right now, but anyway, so they had an ATM there. I've seen that. But at a church, they had a gift shop. They had an ATM, and it's like, damn, if you don't have your tithe money and you say, oh, I got Cash App, they might even pull out a damn QR code now and be like, just boop it. You know, I don't know. I know that tithing is a very big thing with serious churchgoers, because we all know that the dollar makes things happen, makes things move. And even your preacher, pastor, deacon, pope, or whatever knows that there's only so much praying, because if there's no dollars that come at the end of these thoughts and prayers, then nothing's going to get done, because still some dollars got to come from somewhere, right? Maybe your thoughts and prayers y'all selves into some fundraising situations, but still.
But why do you end up with radical people, you know? Because I was a radical person in the senses that I always felt that a church, I didn't feel that a church was necessary. And the thing that ruined me was that when I was young, you know, they would, you know, you begin with your mom, they make you go to church, but she's sitting at home with pops, you know, maybe they wanted some free time. I don't know. But anyway, they send you to church and they're there. Mm-hmm. But then I began to see too many contradictions in church. So I became a strange Negro. And what I mean, yes, I was a strange Negro even back then. And I was a strange Negro because I believed more in God than I believed in the church. And see, that's not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to believe in the church, the institution, right, as opposed to God. Because see, if you believe in the institution, then no matter what the institution does or the leader of the institution does, you can still be on solid ground, you know. Mm-hmm. But see, you know, but see, my problem was I expected people to be perfect and stand on something. And that was my mistake. And I'm not saying that, but I had to say that was wrong of me to believe that people should have principles.
You are speaking a language that I know very well, because it's a very recent experience. A lot of people told me that all of what happened in the past 12 months, as we near upon, you know, the anniversary of some shocking exposures, what
was that all about? I never knew what that was all about. If you don't mind, am I asking too much?
I think that it's more well, what happened is let's see.
Well, you don't have to talk about it.
Well, no, it's not. It's related to tonight's talk, but I wasn't expecting to talk about it like that. But we can. I'm not afraid of it. I just want to make sure that I word this appropriately, because leaving the church, you know, as a radical like you, the people around me have to make sense. So then you find like-minded individuals. That's I think a term that a lot of people who find their tribe, you know, they're like, oh shit, we're like-minded. Oh, this is my new family. This is people that, you know, we all believe in the same thing. We can finally do something. And I found myself around like-minded individuals, people talking the same shit that I was into, and we're all doing the same thing. But then as I don't want to say climbing any ladders, but as I'm just getting deeper and deeper into this organization or this group of people who all said that they were doing the same thing, I found that the math wasn't mathing. But then I'm like, well, maybe it's just because they're not resourceful enough. They don't have enough. They're not in a situation or a position to actually do the things that they care about. That's why we're fighting so hard for reparations. And then they say don't meet your heroes, but I think you shouldn't pedestalize anybody. That's probably a better
But
statement.
that's a hero. Hero is pedalized.
Let's
You
see.
put him on
Then,
a
yeah,
pedestal.
you shouldn't pedestalize things, because then you find out that it might not have been everything that you thought. I find out that not only is Mr. High Value, Mr. Everybody Steals Things From Me, Mr. Authority on all things Black, doesn't really like Black people, but he's not as resourceful as he says he is. He's not, nothing is adding up. But I'm still kind of in this illusion of I'm where I'm supposed to be, because I'm fighting this fight that everybody around me says that we're fighting. And we got people stuff going on, because when you be around people and you, I don't know, feelings,
Yeah.
relationships, stuff like that, you get close to people. Anyway, to my detriment, our closeness was exposed in a way that it was all lies. And then it was exposed in a way where if you get pictures of somebody, even if you don't like them, just know it's a crime to like share those pictures with people. And to me, this is part of the math, not math. And if you are the authority on things, you would know something like that. But no, he took pictures that he asked for of me and posted them on his Patreon for like a 3-hour show. And then it was just, this is very, very exposing. And I would consider that a violation. The law considers it a crime, and he was convicted of said crime. But I said all that to say that, damn, the leaving of one system and then falling into another system is something that I'm unlearning and then trying to relearn all at the same time. And then you said something a couple of weeks ago that Black people have never been able to have religion because
No, you can't.
And I never thought about that. It's never been a thought, because we're the original people. They say that the Ethiopian Bible is the oldest. That they got all of their stories from us, even if it's bastardized and lied and tricks, and at least the grain of salt is a little bit of truth in there, right? But it's very interesting that you can see these other groups of people fight and die for the things that they believe in, and you might have a one-off here of us and one off there, but it's very strange that we don't have that same conviction. But it might be because you said we've never had religion. They have a religion. White supremacy.
They can believe in Christian. They can believe in Catholicism. They can believe in whatever Protestant denomination they want to. They can believe in any religion, but see, we can only believe in God. Because see, to believe in a religion, you have rules and you have rituals. You have rules and rituals. And see, the number one rule is the 10 Commandments.
Right.
But because
no. Let me ask you this, because I went to Catholic school and the church that I went to, two completely separate types of Christianity. So the shit is insane to me and my brother as we're growing up, like we're learning stuff in school, and then we come home and it's like, why don't we have mass every day, or why don't we have mass on Wednesday? Why doesn't our church look like that church? And then it's like, well, that's how them people do it, and we do it like this, and that's just where y'all go to school and just learn as much as you can. And shout out to my parents. I think that was pretty astute of y'all to throw us into the belly of the beast, just kind of knowing that we would not be fucked up at the end of the day. And some people did get messed up, I think, just Catholics are into some freaky shit. And then you told me about the whole gang thing, and then it's like, whoa. But anyway, I'm just saying all that to say that when they do things, it is ritualistic. It is on a timer. It's on a buzzer. They kneel, they stand, they all say the same shit. When you go to our church, we've got some organic things happening. It's very fluid and spiritual, and how you feel. And then, did the spirit hit you? That's how you feel. And then, are you able to move the people? Again, how you feel. I don't think I've ever been to a black church that was like, church starts at 9, it's out at 10:30. I've been to lots of our churches where church starts at 10. You might not get out till like 2:30. Don't let it be football Sunday, because all the men, if there are any in the congregation, is all like, is it? And then somebody, it's another new member. It's like, oh shit.
And then you got to give your testimonial and all that time.
Right. And then it just adds more time. But see, different church experiences, just being around all of it.
But see, the problem is that we could have a faith, but we can never have a religion. And the basic thing is because religion depends on rituals and rules. And see, because the fact, in a sense, in the Western Hemisphere, because of the institution of slavery, fornication became the principal priority of the people, And so then the people, in a sense, the masters, the slaves, they were all into fornication. And because they were all into fornication, then therefore you couldn't have a religious group, because that's part of the Ten Commandments. So you didn't have the Ten Commandments.
Oh, that's what I wanted to get to. I'm glad that you helped me remember by finishing what you were saying. I'm sorry for cutting you off. But in church, we learned that the most important thing was that you had to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. After that, you might fuck up on the 10 Commandments. But if you don't do that one thing, you're going to hell. So you might follow all 10 Commandments. But if you don't accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you're going to hell. And it was like, whoa, that's never made sense to me. So I would ask, so what about the people who were in America thinking that these were yellow Indian Americans, not the Redskins, but, the other Indians, thinking that they were the ones here before Columbus. And I'm like, well, what about before white people talked to them about God? What did all them people just go to hell? And nobody really gave me an answer, except for, well, don't worry about all of that, because we're here now and you need to focus on your soul and you. But then it's never really about you. You get told that power is not for you. And then that post that I told you I saw, that shit blew my mind.
Because you gotta understand is that the original faith of the slave was the belief in Jehovah, the freedom God. But remember that's why, in a sense, after 1831, Nat Turner's rebellion, then they had to get into the churches. So no more black people not allowed to have any more church experiences without in a sense a white person in the gallery. And then it was a push towards the man of peace, Jesus Christ. And so then therefore you see this switch from Jehovah to Jesus Christ, because they had to, in a sense, teach you to want to have some peace, But the problem is that because of the fact that the slave master, in a sense, was raping slave women, and in a sense they had to, in a sense, produce illegitimate children. Then therefore, in a sense, because of the failure to be able to ever have a set of rules. See, if you don't have any rules, then how can you really have a religion? How can you really have a religious group? Right. But you can have a church, you see. But the thing is, that's one of the reasons why there's never been any way that we could really be, in a sense, have a real black religious tradition. They claim one exists, but no, we don't really have a black religious tradition. because we were never able, in a sense, to be able to worship God and practice our faith according to the way it should be done. Create so far says, I remember the Christians telling me to refrain from fornication and looking at women lustfully. That was awkward and didn't last long. This was back when they tried to convert me and get me baptized. Yeah, but see, you got to remember, in the sense is that you made a mistake. See, Create so far, you made a mistake. See, you wasn't supposed to lust at the women's life. You got baptized. You made a mistake. You see, but it's just amazing to me, because I later became Muslim, and it was crazy to me that under Islam, a woman wasn't supposed to show her ankles. She wasn't supposed to show her face. She wasn't supposed to show her hands. What this said to me is that the male can get excited over a woman off of anything. Why can't you be a human being? Cover up your hands, cover up your face, cover up your ankles, and then maybe, in a sense, the man. But I bet the men will still look at the way that dress is fitting her. Look at the wind. Because see, that's just the whole point, is that we create these lies, and see, because the fact, in a sense, that fornication was the predominant thing, because see, you made more money if you had more slaves, and to have more slaves, you had to have the slaves, having sex, fornicating, so that they can produce more babies. And so then, therefore, that's why throughout the Western Hemisphere, even among Latinos, you don't see there's no in a sense stigma attached to being a single mom. You see, there's no stigma attached to being a single mom, and there's no stigma. Listen to this. There's no stigma in a man making baby mamas but not staying with that baby mama. There's no stigma in that, and that's one of the reasons why the Western Hemisphere, people in the Western Hemisphere, except the dominant European or white group, are the only ones, in a sense, that can really have a partial marriage, because see, most of them don't remain married either. That's like I told you back when I was teaching at Governor State. I'd always had these white women who wanted to do research on single parent families, and they had a man with them, but they weren't with their husbands. Most of them were divorced. Because see, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to really be in a relationship, period, in America. And so then you had all these white women who were trying to act higher than die, but they were with their boyfriend. Oh, they were married, and they had children, but usually the man in that house was not the father of those children.
Not the father of that kid. Yep.
Yeah. Nope. So you can see how mixed up, in a sense, our whole situation is over here. One of the reasons why Americans, in a sense, live in a fantasy world, and we live in a fantasy world because that allows us to really feel secure, even though we know that we have no foundation, we have no grounding, and it's the failure to have grounding. So you got to have grounding to be able, in a sense, to really sustain yourself.
And see, I guess that's part of my problem with this unlearn and relearn thing that a lot of us are doing. And if we could just be a little bit more intentional, then maybe we'd move faster to wherever we were going. Maybe we'd find that that's not where we want it to be, and then we could course correct. But, we got a lot of people stuck like on fly paper, and it's because they don't want to accept certain things. And then what you just said about how the society and the culture that taught us all of these backwards things are not even applying and practicing these things the same way, but we won't use that as an example to do something else, right? Like we're just going with the flow because it's a tradition. It's the same thing we've been doing. It hasn't steered us wrong yet, but if you say that we're owed anything and we haven't been paid anything, then we might not be where we're supposed to be. And well, I guess what you started with earlier about how being a radical moved you away from church, even though that probably should move you towards.
No, it did move me away from being a radical. Didn't move me away from church. I never,
The establishment of church.
no, I never was in church. I had faith in God. I stopped having faith in church at 9 when I saw the preacher going with the congregation women.
And that's what I'm saying, right? A lot of us make a mental note of these inconsistencies, and then enough is enough. This was it. This was the last straw, and then now you
the church
out.
So the church in a sense, it didn't have any influence on me. Like my auntie, my Aunt Swang, my Aunt Shody. Whenever my mom would go have a baby, it was 10 of us, so you know it was often. But whenever my mom would go and have a baby, my Aunt Shody would take care of us. And she would tell us folk tales about Brer Rabbit, all that type of good stuff. And she would always bring up the Bible, And so because she would bring up the Bible and things like that, then in a sense, I was kind of a rebellious person. So I did the number one taboo. What is the number one taboo for a Black Christian?
What'd you do?
I read the Bible.
Shame on you.
It was shame on me because I was supposed to wait and let the preacher interpret the Bible for me.
Yes.
I was supposed to wait and let the preacher and maybe one of his established deacons, but I played football. So when they said 44, John 44, Revelation 32, hi, I thought it was all football. I mean, come on now. I got to run through the 4-hole or I got to run through the 5-hole. No, I'm playing linebacker, so I got to hit the line and stop that runner. This is what they was doing. They was talking about these numbers and shit. Talking about these names and numbers. Damn, hey, I was gonna carry that rabbit even. I was gonna make a home run.
But it's like
a home run.
It's so crazy that there is a book. You could use it, but then at your detriment. They don't really want you to use it unless it's with their guidance and with their leadership. And I remember when my parents started going to Bible study, I was like, yes, this is perfect because you'll never want to ask these questions during church, but maybe you can ask them during Bible study. No, you don't get to ask questions during Bible study either. And I was so upset to learn that because so many people that I had met were so devout, so they're so nice. They give you the shirt off their back. But then that's something that I've unlearned and had to relearn. You can't be a person to give the shirt off your back unless you have something to put on your back. Like you can't be that person because they will that person you to death. Yeah. I mean, Black America is dealing with it as we speak.
And see, that's where the abuse came in. The abuse came in from the fact is that I've been conditioned to say that they said I was born in sin. Shit, when I started making love hell, I didn't feel it was sinful. Woo, baby! And so then I was born in sin. So I was born in sin, and so then so that's when it comes up with all these platitudes and all these lies and things that don't even exist. And so then so I go to the church. I'm 9 years old. And they're teaching me all this stuff, all these 10 commandments. And then I see the preacher in a sense, breaking the number one commandment. I really believe that ish. I believe that you shouldn't lie. I believe that thou should not steal. I believe thou should not live. Thou should not covet another man's woman and all that type of stuff. I didn't know about lusting until I got older. But the thing is this, I would have believed in that too. Oh, hell yeah. But who cares? Listen, Eve, the first word I learned to spell in school was P-U-S-S-Y. And I'm coming home, Mama, what is P-U-S-S-Y? Stop it. Bam. What'd you do that for? Don't say that word. Don't bring that word in this house, boy. You stop it, you bad boy. I said, what did I do? It's all over the school. It's written all over the walls, and in the bathroom it's written on the wall. And so then what is that? You just get over there. And then everybody, instead of in a sense telling their daughters, this is it now. Don't have intercourse, because if you have intercourse, you may get pregnant. No, what all I heard, keep your dress down. What the fuck? You can keep your you can keep your dress down and still maybe find a way to get it on.
Where there's a will,
there's a way. I don't know. So these are contradictory things, but the thing is this, is that so you do grow up with this. You do feel that you're abused because you feel that, damn, these people are telling me that I was born in sin. These people are telling me that I'm going to burn in hell. I'm scared as a mother, you know.
Absolutely.
That's abusive, isn't it?
I think so. And I think that's why it's so easy for us to leave it alone, even though I don't think that we're a people who need to be taught some things, but I do think it's the grounding that you were talking about earlier. You know, like we are a social people. You want to be around people who are doing the same things and having the same values and beliefs, and you know, that culture, it's a small circle, and then it's a bigger circle, and then a bigger circle, and then all of these things. You find yourself in one of these communities, and if you're not doing what everybody else is doing, like Teresa said, you'll get shamed.
Right.
Don't let people find out that you're not tithing, and don't let them find out that you are skimping on your tithing, right? Because then it's like, oh, how could you? I saw you in Jamaica last week. It's like, wait a minute. I was gifted a trip to Jamaica. What am I supposed to give the church half my ticket? Like, how do you make these things make sense? But
But see, but that's the abusiveness. And so then anybody who could have be upset about, you know, what you wrote and what you said about the abusiveness of from God. God didn't directly, in a sense, abuse anybody. But the point is this, is that everything in terms of religion is conformity. Whereas faith gives you strength. You see, because I learned from my auntie after I found out the contradiction in the church with the preacher going with the woman in the thing. Then I learned, in a sense, that I didn't believe in religion, but my auntie, by her always talking about God and always looked like she really felt it, then that allowed me to build an intimate friendship relationship with God. So I had faith, you know, and not only did I have faith, but after a while I began to see that God did exist, and I did see God. I did see God in other things. I saw God in how people treated me, and I saw the devil in how people treated me, you see. But then as I got older, in a sense, and I really began to read the book, then I began, in a sense, to see things in a different way, you see. But I know, in a sense, that you have to conform. You have to conform to what the people say is religion. People say it's Christianity. And if you don't conform, then therefore you're an outsider, and you don't want to be outside of anything.
That's true. I was thinking about the conformity aspect, right? And entertainers, I think, are high or low paid employees, high or low level employees, depending on how popular they are, and then, you know, who their audience is. I'm thinking about Erykah Badu, right? There's a song, On and On, and she says, if we were made in, what'd she say? If we were made in his image, then call us by our names. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this line with our students at school because, you know, it's the God in me aspect, which I think is a Mary Mary song, which it doesn't escape me. I think that our artists are really gifted in having certain messages, even if they don't believe in the message, right? They can really move you. And I don't know what Erykah believes or what Mary Mary believes or whatever, but that God in me aspect, you know, it.
But you've touched on a very important subject, Eve, is that our spiritualism You know, our music has come via the church, you know. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, a lot of the music today, all the rappers and all that, you know, a lot of black people have moved away from hip hop because the fact that you've got the principal singers in hip hop, you know, what is it, Sexy Red, Glorilla, you know, Suka.
Well, they didn't come up in the church. No, they didn't.
They didn't come up in the church, and they're immigrants. They're immigrants, and as a result, they can get a good beat, but their music does not drive us. Their music does not invigorate us. Their music, you know, does not make you want to go to war, you know. But I mean, hey, I'm sorry to say when Hendrick Lamar, I guess it's Lamar, somebody says they not like us. You know, that effect. No, they're not like us. See?
No, they're not. Kendrick is another entertainer. Again, maybe high paid or lowly paid level employee. I can't say that any entertainers are out here doing the hard thing, because honestly, our sound has already been instrumental in fueling certain movements, you know, and then from there, everybody knows that. That's why we've got, you know, F the police, and then, you know, you can't use certain acronyms because it means bad things are going to happen to certain groups of people. And I said all that to say that when you come up in the church, and Dwan's talked about this a lot. I love Dwan. I think he's a great asset for us as people who are always learning. But he's talked about that the judgment aspect. But then I know, because y'all might think that I was talking bad stuff about the church. I was, but I think that it's layered and leveled. I think that Black people, like Neely Fuller has talked about, can't really congregate for a long period of time without there being a purpose. After that purpose, I think we need to disperse and do whatever else that we're supposed to be doing. And y'all can use this with your spouse, your partner, or whoever, because maybe y'all make a lot of sense when y'all are doing those things. But then maybe you don't make sense until y'all go do the thing that you're supposed to be doing, you know, the other 23 hours of the day. Not saying that you can't work with, I know me and you talk about the conversations at night, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about to the people who have issues with being on one accord, because we're existing in a time where everybody's original. You can be your own person, but you still need to be cookie cutter. You still need to X, Y, and Z, but you can color outside the lines, but you have to know how to cut the line. It's all these things happening.
It's the contradictions.
Yes.
And that's why when people talk, I was I'm a psychologist, sociologist. I used to write a lot of sociology shit back in the day. But the thing is, but when they talk about that there's a Black religion, that's bullshit. There is no Black religion, because to have a Black religion means, to have any religion means that you have to have a set of rituals. You have to have a set of traditions. We have no rituals. We have no traditions, because I can screw whoever the hell I want to, and I don't have to worry about it.
So then what do you say to the people who say that, well, I don't believe in the Western God, I believe in the Neteru and the Orishas and anything else that wasn't given to us by them.
But they don't. But the thing is, this is that they don't even know about that. How are you gonna know about the Orishas? How are you gonna know about voodoo? How are you gonna know about this stuff when you don't have the original teachers? You're reading stuff from a book, and mainly a book written by Frenchmen. So I mean, come on now. I mean, I read all that stuff. Cambole. We always learn things through interpretation. For example, when I became a Muslim, and so then Suleiman Nang, he used to teach at Harvard. At Howard. I don't know if you met the brother. He's a good hypocrite and stuff. But he's dead now. I shouldn't say that. But But I remember we was in it was somewhere, and so then oh no, he wanted me to come and join him. They were going to do a lecture somewhere, and he wanted me to join them, and my wife was sick and I wouldn't come. And so that night in a sense, I had a dream and I said, Suleiman, I said, let me see your Quran. And so he handed me his Quran. It was full of all these different women, And
the Quran was full of women.
Yeah, it was just full of all these women and stuff. But see, I'm not going to say but see, I wasn't with the Nation of Islam. I was with the so-called real Muslims, And since I was with the real Muslims and I was seeing what they was doing, and what they was doing was different from what they were teaching, And
isn't that so crazy? Because remember during 9/11 and everybody was all, if they got a turban on their head, then they're a terrorist, and you got to be careful with anybody throwing backpacks anywhere, right? So like weird society is on red alert. Or when y'all know I'm from DC, so when the shooter, what's his name? The white van shooter, what's that guy's name?
Which one?
There was not father son, but the shooters in DC.
Oh yeah, I remember that. The Hanafis.
It's just you've got all of these distractions, I think, and then at the end of the day, we're supposed to continue.
But all these shooters are always from Fort Bragg.
Malvo, thank you, yeah. All the way free. There you go.
They always trained at Fort Bragg. I wonder why. All these shooters, even the white.
You're right. It's funny how they glitch against the system that treated them so well, right? No, I think that as we're unlearning things and relearning things, I don't want us to miss anything. And I think that when we think that we have something down pat, that's probably the thing that we missed, especially in a day like today.
Like Shadow Band says, blacks bring cleanliness, godliness to religion. No, we don't bring that to religion. We can't bring that to religion because we idolize the baby mama. And because the baby mama, we idolize mother. We idolize, in a sense, Mary. But Mary has Jesus. And we can look up and we can relate to Mary and Jesus because Mary had Jesus through a virgin birth, And so we got these baby mamas that they're not virgins, but they don't have any daddies around. And because they don't have any daddies around, they never had men raise them. My father always taught me that the number one thing a man does is take care of his family. Mm-hmm. And his woman comes first, even if she's old Sapphire, even if she's Sapphire, she still comes first, you see. But see, because of the fact, in the sense that we didn't notice this, that's why we can't have a religion. See, you can't have a religion unless there's standards. We don't have any standards. And then some people say, Clyde, you're full of ish. We got all these preachers, especially that went to all these schools, these theological schools. We had Martin Luther King. We had this one. We had that one. We had all these wonderful preachers. Yes, we have all these well-trained preachers. They're down with the theological knowledge, but they don't apply that because, see, if they applied that, then they wouldn't have any people in the church. Wouldn't no unwed mamas be in the church? But then that's one of the reasons why in the black church spends all their time with somebody explaining, what they went through and how they've been born again. See, that's why we need the born again to really have any type of religious experience. Because by being born again, that means that I can still screw your mama and your auntie too, and I'll be okay. And I can still be recognized as being sanctified and holy.
Very
true. I screwed your mama and your auntie.
Mama and auntie and your sister.
That's right.
And
this is off the subject. Family, I always go off the subject. I was working out in Evanston, Illinois. And so I used to work. This is one of my interludes between not being able to to teach regularly because I was a substitute. So I was working for a social service agency, and so then I used to work with single moms, and these single moms was quite interesting because see, these single moms, a lot of them was auntie, they were aunties and uncles. Some in the same family, you could have a kid who was his brother's uncle.
Mm-hmm. That reminds me of a different story. Look, you made me think about, well, what I have shared is what you made me think about before your story, and then all of the family dynamics, you made me think about something else. But look, have y'all seen this? Because
here you are, baby. Fresh baked pie, just for you.
Where did you get this?
I baked it from scratch.
We don't have an oven.
God helped me.
Joseph, please. You see how that sounds, Mary?
Here you are, baby.
That's deep, ain't it?
I'm just like, that's I think a surface question. When you do read the Bible, because I know it's looked down upon, or at least it used to be looked down upon. Maybe we're in the woke movement, so they want you to read and ask questions so that they can lie to you about different things. But you read about the flood, and then it's like, well, damn, we've got all these continents. What about these other people on the other continents? What happened to them? Or are we not even talking about them? Or Noah and the ark? What?
But the biggest question, see, the whole point is that's why you're supposed to go to church and just listen. Mm-hmm. You don't really read the Bible, because if you read the Bible, you have questions. You have questions. It's like you got Adam and Eve, and you got and so then Adam and Eve, and so then what we're calling kills one of the
Cain and Abel.
Yeah. Cain and Abel, one of them is killed, you see. And then the one that's left over, he's saying, okay, you can go, you got to get out in the world. He said, no, I don't want to get out in the world because this is in the Bible. They're going to fuck me up. So who was he afraid of if they were the only people on earth? Get out of here.
See, and then
don't think.
Everybody comes from Adam and Eve. So then Eve is having all sorts of babies with her sons because there's no other women around at this point. And honestly, as an Eve, I feel the brunt of the pain that the Eves of the world feel, because I've heard people say that it's my fault specifically for society's woes, and it's like, damn, she bit an apple, and an apple a day is supposed to keep the doctor away. And then, well, maybe it wasn't an apple because apples aren't there, but in the Garden of Eden, maybe it's just you weren't supposed to. And that's the original lesson, is that when you do something you're not supposed to do, there's a consequence.
That's the baby lesson.
Right.
That's the baby lesson.
But then people, they might stop there. I got that down pat. I got it. Don't do something you're not supposed to do. Consequence. Got it. But then I'm like, is it a little bit deeper than that? Or am I just deep diving on my own? And I think it's deeper, a lot deeper.
But see, that's why you could never have a black church, Eve. You can never have a black church, because if you've got standards and rules, but as a people and as a black nation, that's right, I'm saying foundational Black Americans, as a black nation, if your nation lacks the power to legislate rules based upon your faith, well, based upon your religion, not your faith, but based upon your religion, then therefore you have no religion. That's why we have never had a black church, because to have a black church, you couldn't have all those single moms in the black church. You couldn't have the single moms being nurses and the main people, and you couldn't have those single dads who got 5 or 6 babies in the church being the deacon. He wore out now, but I mean, back in his prime, all that. And so then, do you see what I'm saying?
I do. It's crazy that we've got the overseer understanding, but then oh, it's okay because I don't see no white man at my church. There ain't no white man at my. Okay, you guys, we gotta have to have some understandings. The church is.
But remember, no, you wouldn't. Look at me talking this crazy shit. I'm 74 and you're only 18. But again, real fine looking 18. But anyway, anyway, back in the day, they used to want to instill in us this fear. And that's where the abuse came, because they wanted to instill in us this fear that we're born in sin, and because we're born in sin, then therefore there was no hope. But at the same time, we could never have a black church, because to have a black church, you have to have a standard. And to have standards meant you couldn't have a congregation, and the preacher needs money to be able to get a Bentley and get the, what they call them, the first lady now.
Mm-hmm.
She has to get her Bentley too. And
Right.
the only way you can get that is to get monies from these people. And so then that comes
free dollars, y'all.
right. And that's why teasing and tiding is the principal thing. That's one of the reasons why they have a whole classes on why this is important, and why just going to church is not enough. Just believing is not enough. You got to get that preacher some of that cash money, baby.
Some of that cash money, baby.
I remember those wine heads, when I was younger and a handsome, muscular looking kid. They said Clyde, because you learn a lot from the wine heads,
Mm-hmm.
Clyde, you got to be a real pimp. I said, what do you mean? He said, you got to be a real pimp, brother. Got to be a real pimp. See, you got that power to gab. You can be a real pimp, because you got to be a preacher, and then you touch him right here in the back. Oh, I said, is that the place? Yeah, you touch him right there. Ah, damn! Boy, that's gonna make me be a millionaire. But I told myself
the winos know.
They do know.
You gotta. I always have a special appreciation for people with substance abuses, because not only I have instances and family history of substance abuse, but I think our people have always looked for this escape. And then why aren't we zombied out, in the middle of the roads, like how you see in Ohio and these dusty ghost towns now? Like, a lot of these all white areas are white with dust because these people don't exist anymore. They done fizzled out because of their substance abuse. But if you meet an old crackhead, that joker knows something, because there's no way that you done been doing crack for 20 years and ain't dead yet because you don't know something.
I like the story that Tariq said in one of his recent videos. And so Tariq was saying when he was in jail, he had this old Muslim brother. He was telling him about how the pork was so bad. I used to eat the pork. I get tapeworms, all that type of shit. And then Tariq said after he talked to the brother, he said he wouldn't eat no pork. And then the brother said, can I have that pork? And so the brother who had told him that pork was no good ate the pork. And he said, now, brother, damn, I'm in jail. I'm a crackhead, so I'm weak. And so, hey, them wine heads can teach you a lot. But see, I had told them, I prayed and I made a promise to God, is that unless you talk to me, and call me, literally call me, I would never be a preacher. So I wouldn't. That's why I wouldn't do it. But I knew that spot. I knew that spot though. I knew that spot to touch him right in the back. And have you ever noticed them preachers always got their hand? They always
on the small.
Yeah.
Back. Yeah. It's also very strange. I've seen African men walking with their woman with their hand on this place. And I think it's the guiding spot. Like, if you have a joystick on your woman, that would be where it is. You want her to walk a certain way or a certain place or in the right line or something. You can direct her from right there. And I've seen it. And it's very strange, but men pick up things because you're supposed to be able to survive against the odds. and then women pick up different things because we're supposed to be able to survive, defying the odds, and then the math don't math sometimes.
But just,
it does.
but just think about that. That back when I was growing up, the preachers, that the preacher was seen as a pimp. You know,
But he's still seen as a pimp, though, Dr. Winters. I mean, like,
do you really think that people still? I don't think so. I think people hold him in high esteem today.
people want you to think that preachers are held in high esteem because they still have to pay them bills, right? Like I'll never forget the first time I saw my good friend Taisha Essex talk about holidays and their holidays, right? European holidays. She called them holidays. And when she explained why she called them holidays and how a lot of these celebratory events are happening on a really fucked up day in history, and then the people who introduced it to us, you know, I started to have a better appreciation for how we can change the narrative overnight. But it was her, she kind of threw me down a rabbit hole of people who've left the church because of all of the hypocrisy, and then they might have landed somewhere like where we are right now in black land, or somewhere completely different. Maybe they just don't believe anymore because, you know, when you called out for help, there was no help. So then shit, if I'm the only help I got, fuck everything else, because, you know, I can't do anything with y'all. But that brings me to this video.
Man just rode past my preacher. He called me and told me I can't go back to his church. What happened was I was driving and I seen him on the side of the road, and I think he ran out of gas or something. So I pulled over and asked him if he need help. He said, yeah. So I grabbed his hand and I prayed with him. And then I got back in my car. I said, help should be on the way. And he got mad. Nigga, you did that when I told you I was laying on my bills. Nigga, you prayed for me and said, hopefully help be on the way. I thought I was returning the favor. I thought prayer was the most powerful thing I can give. I ain't want to give him no money. I gave him some money on Sunday. Man.
That is beautiful. But I do believe prayer is worth $1 million. I believe prayer is better than any money. That's me, but that's just my belief.
But you've been teaching me, right? I unlearn, relearn things that I think I know. I might not know anything. It's my favorite quote from Vikings with the seer. He says, all that I know is that I don't know. And I was like, whoa, how's the person who can see into the future don't know anything? And it's like, well, the whole premise of the seer is that it doesn't have to go the way that I saw it as much as it could go this way. It has the possibility of going this way, and maybe it'll go a different way, and I might be able to see that too, but you didn't ask me that question, and it's all about the questions. And then that brings me back to our original topic.
See, that's the killer. That's the killer. See, remember, that's what got Socrates killed. And Socrates was killed because the fact is that people don't like you to ask questions, because then you have to think. And when you have to think, then it's dangerous. It's dangerous. See, I would have been so better off if I wouldn't have never started wondering, well, why is Adam and Eve, why is Cain, Abel, whoever got, I forgot who got killed now, but why is he afraid he's gonna get killed if they were the only people on earth?
Right. And why are they marking him? Him for whom? To know what, if it's just us, right? I had the same questions. I told you, my mouth has been washed out with soap, and it's not because I'm a disrespectful little turd. I'm not. I think I'm a joy to be around. But no, asking questions is disrespectful. And then as a child, children don't have filters unless you give them the ability to filter, which means you would have to not hide things. You would have to give it to them in a digestible.
You can't have standards. You can't have standards. You can't have strict rules. See when
with children?
With children.
Go ahead.
For a child to feel comfortable, for a child to feel comfortable and reason out his own questions, you have to, in a sense, allow that child to be given a sense of consciousness. Most of us are not given a sense of consciousness. most of us are unconscious,
Right.
and we're unconscious because we go off whatever we've been told, and we follow the status quo, and we follow everything that we've been taught. But see,
Right.
when you allow your children to have free will, then therefore it's dangerous. You know, just like my kids, I tried to raise my kids with a concept of free will. I told them all the secrets. I told them the number one secret, and the number one secret is that you know, when they say don't eat the apple or they say don't eat the pork, that's just for babies in a sense, because they feel in the sense that babies need structure.
Yes.
And babies need to, in a sense, feel that there's a negative consequence. And if there's a negative consequence, then they will follow through.
Right.
Whereas in a sense, people who have a higher faith in God, they learn in a sense that you love God for God's sake. You know in a sense that you're not going to go to hell.
What God can do for you. Right.
Yeah, you know you're not going to hell. Why can't you go to hell? You can't go to hell because God said he can forgive you at any time. If God can forgive you at any time, what does that mean?
It means that there is no wrongdoing as long as you do that one thing that I said. You better accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, or your ass is going to hell.
That's right, but
doesn't matter if you were Mother Teresa out here, and I find that she might have been a bad person too. So you know.
But think about what you just said. What you just said is that as long as you accept Jesus Christ, but more importantly, you accept the fact is that if God can forgive your sins at any time, then you can forgive your sins too. If there's no such thing as sin, then therefore the people who have the higher people in a religion, the people who sit on the right hand of God, are those people in a sense who recognize that they believe and they have faith, knowing in a sense that there is no punishment. See, because that gives you a higher status. And that puts you, because when I was young, I just wanted to sit on the right hand of God. And I felt the only way I could get there was to not lie, things like that. But my mother-in-law, she told me I was going to have to lie, which I did. And you know, and I had a beautiful wife, so I love sex. So I don't know. So I was
bad man.
I was a bad man. You know. And you can be bad too, you know. But I mean, hey, you know, me and my wife, hey, we were happy. And see, that's the most important thing that you have to understand is that what is life all about? Life is about you and your mate and your children. That's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. You see, but that's scary.
It is, isn't it? It's so crazy that you say that. When I was a child and coming up, and maybe a lot of you guys, and even if you're older than me, maybe when you were coming up, I think it's different than today because the pastor has a wife now. You know, the preacher has a wife. And again, remember, I'm coming from a
Catholic background.
It's right.
Catholic church, Catholic schools.
The priest does not have a wife. The nuns are not. I always thought, and not for a long time because I was in it, but I always thought that like the nuns were the priests' wives. And then you find out that no, all of them people said that they're not going to fornicate. That's that commandment you were talking about. And then it's like, well, shit, are these the only people who are going to go to heaven because they're the only ones not breaking the rules? The people who take these vows of celibacy, and then you learn in Catholicism that they've got last rites. So go have a fucked up life. It's okay because you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and you get them last rites, that last confession before you die, and you're good. You're golden. Yeah. Everything is washed away.
And see that's the beauty of it. But see, that's the higher level. That's our level. That's why you know you can always find a Jew that says he's a non-religious Jew. See, because they've already learned that you can do whatever you want. But see, the only problem with them is that they take this knowledge and then they want to become deviants. They want to become deviants. What I mean by that is that they take that knowledge and say, okay, well then, if that's true, then I want all the women. Wait a minute. I want all of the kids too. Oh, I want the men too. You see, this is what happens when you go down that slippery road. When you go down that road in the sense where you begin to have too much what you feel is understanding, but a lack of discipline. And see that's the thing if you know, it's like back in the day when, what was his name up, and they drank the Kool-Aid in Guyana and all that type of
Jim
stuff.
Jones.
Yeah, Reverend Jones. And then how a lot of times, that's what happens, these people, in a sense, because of the fact that they don't understand faith and religion, then therefore, in a sense, they have very strong religious ideals, but they don't have faith. And because they don't have faith, they don't build up that individual relationship with God,
Mm-hmm.
Because see, faith comes from God. See, then people say, Clyde, how did you gain? I'll tell you how I got it. I wasn't a game banger. I was not a game banger. But I had so many people shooting at me when I was growing up. And then I wasn't a game banger. But I'd be giving lectures. And my wife would be out in the audience. And she'd say, Clyde, those people's thinking about killing you.
Mm.
I said, I was just talking about economic development. Economic development, I mean, damn. The white man talk about it. But the thing is that I had so many people always wanting to kill me that I knew God existed, or I wouldn't have been here.
That's the power of
easy for
prayer,
me.
what you talk about.
Yeah.
You told me something, I think, at the beginning of our relationship, and it's about how prayer is like a secret conversation, because, well, everybody prays. And then you think about it, and everybody does pray. You got two teams who think that they are as prepared as they're supposed to be, and then they pray God that they win the game. Okay, but if they're both praying to God that they win the game, does God not answer their prayer, or does he get favorites at this point? Like, well, I like this team better, so I'm gonna let them win, or like where is the line? And then it was getting over my abusive relationship with God is it's come with a lot of hard lessons. And again, thinking that I know something and then finding out not only do I not know, but I might need to take some time here. It's the authority aspect of a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. You were presenting information to this group of people with authority. Black men are not supposed to do that, not in public anyway. Like, you might be able to do it at home, right? Like, because you are the king of your castle, right? But then outside of your home, no. And then society today wants you guys to be even less of an authority. You don't have any say, because the pastor has say. Like you said, people still do hold them in esteem. I just find that a lot of us have moved away from the hypocrisy. We're trying to find something else, even if it's as backwards like I did. But when you're speaking truth to power, shout out to Tariq, because he gave me those words, truth to power, it's scary for people who don't want other people to know the truth. And then from there, they're gonna try to harm you. They're going to do things to monkey wrench your success. And then that's the lesson. Again, I have a lot of lessons that I've had to unlearn. Maybe y'all don't, and you probably don't, because you've been here a lot longer than me. So maybe you are already learned the lesson. I find that because you found out that it is in the undisciplined that people get caught up. You never got caught up with sexual deviancy inside of our movement because you had a wife, you had children. There's discipline when you have
those women always throwing their vagina at me, and I knew vaginas bite. Damn, I knew vaginas bite. Vaginas bite. They bite. They bite. How do they bite? Number one, they can bite you with a baby that you didn't want. Number two, they can, in a sense, give you gonorrhea, syphilis, claps. So I mean, hell, they bite. But then, in a sense, is that so you want something more out of life, and see, that was the whole point. The intimacy that my auntie gave me with God. See, the intimacy with God is that you want to have friendship. You want to have friendship, and see, What I found is that, you know, I was listening to this guy, and he was saying that what a man wants from a woman is peace. And I said, damn, that's true. A man wants from a woman peace, but she's gonna give you hell. But anyway, you want
no, she's only gonna give you hell if she doesn't want you to have what you want. So if you want peace, and she doesn't want you to have peace, you're gonna have hell.
No.
If she wants you to have peace, you're gonna have peace.
No.
You might have to go through hell to get it.
No.
Why? Why just no?
Because see, as a woman, you always want to see your man excited. Either he's mad or his penis is on the hard. That's what it is. That's you as a woman. That's what you want. And so then therefore, sometimes a smart man has to get in an argument with his woman, even though he doesn't even really feel like arguing and know it's really silly, but he will get in an argument with his woman just to make her feel good.
Yeah, you have to know how to excite your woman. And then I think when you've told me that in the past, I kind of scoffed at it because we really are so simple. But then it's kind of complicated because you can't just start any fight with your woman. You might not have sex tonight. You might not eat tonight. You might be on a couch tonight. You know, it just kind of depends on the man and his interest level and making sure that she feels seen. But if you got a good father, your father taught you that sometimes you just do shit to be put on the couch that night, to have him mad at you. Well, one, you might want to go out and see your girlfriend. Two, my father, I think my father's what I think my father used to do. You know, come home at payday and he'd get in an argument. Yeah. And then he'd leave it. I'll be back soon. And then I used to say, I guess he tried to make my mother feel guilty. And I can go out and have a good time and then come back drunk. And it's all her fault, you know. That is, I mean, it's kind of genius, but then it's the genius that people use to get over on people. You'll hear a lot of Black people, and when I'm saying Black right now, I don't mean to say it like this, but just this is what I've been conditioned. You'll see a lot of people with melanin saying that we can't have certain things and we can't do certain things because if we get this, like Umar, or if we do this, then, well, they just want to be the white supremacist in the room. These niggas just want to be the whites. They're not white, but they just want to be the white supremacists. And it made me think of, can you get back to my shared screen real quick? Because you said they want all the women, and then shit, they want all the children, and then shit, they want all the men too. And it was very fitting to my experience from the past 12 months, because I
want to thank you all for tuning in to tonight's program. In the next 10 minutes, we are going to begin a program over on Patreon. So all of you who are members of my Patreon, you are invited to join me over there here in the next 10 minutes. When the program begins over there, you are all going to receive an email, as you always do, that has the link that will invite you to join us over on Patreon. For those of you who are not members of the Patreon, you do have the option of doing that as well. Just remember, you have to have a business partner membership or higher. So if you pay for that tier or higher, you can join us for that. But yes, I know it's Friday, but we're going to be having a special presentation over on Patreon that we're going to be doing here in the next 10 minutes. So for those of you who wish to join us for that, you're welcome to do so.
Was that when he humiliated you?
It was. That was like 10 minutes before the humiliation ritual started. And I'm kind of surprising myself tonight because I don't know that I would have been able to do that if I hadn't unlearned and then started relearning some things. And it is in my acknowledgement of inadequacies, but then knowing that it's okay to not be what people wanted me to be or what someone wanted me to be, because me, while I do need some work and I am working on some things, you know, we all have something to offer. Everybody has a role. And I think, like we talked last time, playing sports and coaching, I find that it's easier for me to understand these roles, because you're not going to put a person who is 5'2" to jump for the ball, because the other team's going to put their tallest person at that position, right? You're not going to put a very short person under the basket, because they're not going to be able to defend the basket as well as a person who is a little bit taller, right? We all have roles. And while I am coming from a place where it's about the amplifying of the message, what message are we amplifying? Pause. Pause. Are we amplifying the right thing? And then if we are, then everything else should line up. But if we're not, we're focusing on other things, or we're ignoring things, calling yourself the authority, but then not knowing things that you should know because you're the authority on, it's inconsistencies. And we ignore these inconsistencies at our detriment. I say we, I'm talking about me. So maybe not y'all, but me. And then, well, what do you do with this? You just give it up? Fuck the black fight because black hurt. Or fuck God because God hurt. God wasn't there when I had to make a decision between my car note and my mortgage. And they do. And I get it, because that's how you feel. You were moved to do something, and the only thing you felt like you had control over was where you're going to be on Sunday. And that's tough, but it's a power move, as a mod, and I'm there every other day for hours at a time because people want to talk on the internet for hours at a time, well, what am I going to do with my time now? Oh, shit. No, I have a family and I have a life and I've got things, and relearning the actual life.
But it's respecting. See, our problem is that we don't understand. We don't understand. Number one, they always tell you that man is fragile. They always tell you that man, in a sense, is not perfect. And yet we create these images of perfect men and women too. That's why mothers, no matter, all mothers are put on pedestals, except your woman is a bitch. Isn't that deep?
It is.
All mothers are put on pedestals, but your woman is a bitch. And so then this is but your woman is a mother too. But think about it. But the thing is, that's the whole beauty of it. See, the beauty of it is that I learned early, in a sense. One day I was sitting at the university when I was at the university, and so I talked to my wife, and I said, "Damn, we're gonna turn this mother out." I said, "Damn, Black Power, baby." And then she said, my wife would always say shit, and I, just say something that later would come into fruition. And she said, Clyde, she said, y'all kind of seem a little stupid. Here we are at this white university and this white residence hall, married residence hall. Mm-hmm. And you're telling me you're going to take this place over. She said, somehow that don't seem logical. She said, but this is what the European does to us. Just like now, I'm talking this stuff, and he will let me talk this stuff, and he will say I'm superior to you, but I can still say this. I'm not telling people to grab time to pick up the gun, the revolution that's come. I'm not saying go out and start shooting up white folks, but I'm allowed to do this. And so then what they do is that the white supremacist here, he makes you live a life of contradictions. And because he makes you live a life of contradictions, you rarely don't know if what you really see is real. Are you really looking at Dr. Winters? Is that Eve? Eve don't look like that. Eve is really 6'1". She's muscular, and she has long flowing blonde hair. Because really she's a Caucasian. No, but see, this is the whole point: is that they can do this. They can do this because the thing is that we create the images and they allow us to do this. And this is beautiful. This is what make us the most blessed people on the planet Earth. We're the only people on the planet Earth that we can have our former masters They're our footstools. Some they always doing shit to keep us down, and yet we find a way to get on top to help many of us to become successful. They was talking about the other day that in Chicago, the average white person, they make $90,000 a year. The average Latino makes $40,000 a year, but the average black person makes $27,000 a year. You know, that is a blip, but see, that's because the fact is that the vast majority of us are always working for the damn government.
Yep.
Teacher, post office, social worker, just government, county, state, federal, city, you know, but even in that,
$27,000 a year,
yeah,
is $500 a week.
That's what they
I had to pull out the calculator. That's 20 years ago poverty, and then
it's still poverty today. But the only thing is, this is that you can get some food stamps, or if you or you can pass or you can pass by somebody's house and you say, "Damn, they live in a real beautiful house." They're living on they're living right. You know how they're building houses now on golf courses. So you say, "Oh, that's a beautiful house." Then you drive around, then you come to about 7, 8 houses. They got 5 or 6 cars in the driveway. Oh yeah, that's how they're living there. Because people are coming up, people are coming back. See, now we're in a very critical time, Eve. We're in a very critical time where people have to, if you don't join up, you're going to be out of it. I hate to say that.
Absolutely.
You're going to be out of it because they set up everything. They've set up everything now, Eve, that you have to, in a sense, have 2 incomes. You have to have, in a sense, you have to have multiple incomes to be able to make it. They say you had to make $100,000 a year to have 1 child. I mean, damn, you know, that's a lie. But it goes back. The reason that we can have more than 1 child and don't have 100,000 is that we were taught by our parents that 1 eat, 2 eat, if 2 eat, 3 eat, and then 3 eat, 4 eat. You know, in other words, in a sense, you know, maybe I can't go to the store and buy you that salmon, but maybe I can get a can of salmon and mix it with some mackerel and we can make some croquettes.
Hey, I'm with it. And you know, I saw this post the other day, and my man might get mad at me for saying it, but it said, all women are expensive. Just pick one in your price bracket and sit down and shut the hell up. And it was like, I laughed. He didn't
true.
like it. Said, hey, man of the house. I hope you heard that because that was funny.
It is.
Isn't it true? I mean, all women are.
It is true. It is true.
I keep coming across these videos on Facebook of these homestead women, and I feel them in a way that I hate because I never see enough of us doing the homesteading. You know, it's not a lot of. You'll never get a plethora of Black farmers.
But the homestead women. But see, the homestead women is one problem with the traditional white man. You got to understand the traditional white man. Okay. I was raised that when you get married, even if your wife is supposed to have a very nice allowance. Very nice allowance. And that allowance is her money. And all the money that you don't use to pay bills is her money. But in depth, this is what my father taught me. You see, but with white people, with the white man is that he has to control the checkbook. That's why eventually they run into problems because a lot of white women, they're working too and they're saying, damn, I don't like that. That's not cool. You see, I'm going to spend some of my money the way I want to spend it. That's why you find a lot of white women who've been married, but they're not with their husbands.
Sorry.
See? But they have a boyfriend. It's a man in the house, but that's the boyfriend. See.
That's when I worked for public school, I think maybe everybody that was a woman had somebody, whether they were gay or not. And then from there, the white women that were married were like what you said. They either were on some high school sweethearts, they'd been together, they got 4 kids, and that like they are traditional family like that, or they are married, they have children with their first husband, they are on their second or third husband, and they will look down on you with your one partner because you're not married. Never mind the fact that you've only been with this one person, or you're not married, you don't got a ring.
You're not married either.
Right. So they
Yeah.
they like to play these games and semantics, and it's like, okay, I can play these games too, because I know what words mean. But then y'all, I've had to take a step back. Do I really know what the fuck I'm talking about? Because it would be a shame that these things that are timeless, the internet is forever. It would be a shame to come across me in 15 years and be like, damn, I was talking stupid. And I've already seen it in like my posts, again, amplifying what message? Because if you're a Christian and then you leave the church, maybe you were saying things like, take off your coat and follow me. You were one of those give the shirt off your back people, but you didn't have a shirt to replace it because God will provide. The birds don't have to worry about food because God will provide. And it's like, well, I feel you, but I don't know. I don't know, because I thought y'all said that Adam was given all of the animals, to name. And if all of the animals are Adam's and Eve's, then wouldn't we have to make sure that everything's all right so that these animals exist, which means that we did something.
True.
There's something happening, right? It's not just God will provide, right? Okay.
Yeah, you're right. But see, it's just like Nellie Fuller. When Nellie Fuller said that we're prisoners of war. And I said, he's absolutely correct. We got these 10 codes, we got to follow it. But how can we be prisoners of war when I got married? I married who I wanted to. And I was married till my wife died, 50 something years. I mean, so how could that don't add up? But then I started saying it does add up, because see, even in being married, if the white man don't give me a job, I got no woman. So then Nellie Fuller is correct. We are prisoners of war. We're prisoners of war because they dominate everything.
It's crazy the domination aspect, because an unlearn and relearn moment for me, and I think for a lot of your listeners, is the demographics of it all. 14% of the population, but more than 50% of the homeless population, more than 50% of the jail population. And that math has never made sense.
It doesn't.
We're supposed to do all of this crime. It's supposed to be so homeless, yet there's not enough of us to make the numbers add up unless they're not counting us all.
There you go.
I've even heard them give a reason for it. Well, niggas don't like being counted. The census comes around and you niggas don't answer the door. You don't answer for Jehovah's Witnesses and you don't answer for the census. And it's like, well, why would we? Were you invited? Did we know you were coming? A lot of questions that I know people are afraid of questions, because then you might get an answer that you didn't want.
See, all you got to do is just look at the history. History teaches you that Schmut left South Africa and came to America to learn how to control the Bantu in South Africa. Now, the white is a minority population in South Africa, and the Bantu are the majority. Why would the South Africans send people over to America to learn how to dominate a majority population when they're dominating a so-called minority? See, Absolutely. You just got to think. See that's one of the beautiful things about growing up in America. That's what they need. That's what religion tries to teach you. They use religion to teach you not to think, because when you think, you start to say, "What is your favorite word, Eve?" The math ain't mathing.
I gotta while it is branded on some merch, The math is going to have to start mathing, Black Laren. And the reason why is because that's how powerful we are. You impressed upon me, and not just you, my man and others have impressed upon me this unlearn and relearn thing because of the spelling of it all. And I don't mean to get y'all stuck on Plebiscite Island, so let's try not to do that, but just understand that all words have meanings for a reason. And if you want to abracadabra the door open, or if you want to get back home because you're lost in the Wizard of Oz land, if you don't click them heels, if you don't do the right formula, the math isn't going to math. We said, cut the check. Enough of us said, cut the check. Not all of us, enough of us. And the government cut a check. I can't unsee that as the biggest example of us getting exactly what we asked for and nothing that we asked for all at the same time.
But Eve, you were the first one. You were the first one to make that revelation the other day. That they did give us a check.
I mean, they did. And it was in time with exactly what we said. We said no tangibles, no vote. And they were like, all right, yeah, y'all niggas voted. We got to do something. Let's give them back their money.
And they gave us two checks, some of us.
2 checks if you made under a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
That's what white America keeps telling us. It's not a race war, it's a class war. It's a class war. It's not racism because I don't have anything. I didn't have privilege over you, Black Karen, you know? And then it's like, well, maybe you do come from white trash. Maybe you did grow up in a trailer park. And if that's the case, yeah, I had a very privileged upbringing compared to the squalor and lice and things that you grew up with. However, now that we're all adults, who has the upper hand when it comes to just the base model of things?
Yeah.
And then, well, they don't like to compete against us because our base model beats theirs 10-1 every time. So that's why they got a system that has everything rigged. And now I can just look at you and see you're not like me, like Kindred said. They not like us. And that's why you can have They Not Like Us as the #1 song being played at all the bar mitzvahs.
Yeah.
It's not a stat I just made up. You can look on YouTube. All the white people are singing They Not Like Us because they get it. Y'all not like us, and we're going to continue to reap the benefits of y'all thinking that you are invited to the party and you don't even know what you're missing.
Right.
And maybe you don't want to know.
All the way Free said Black people are supposed to be 12 to 40% of the United States population and around 37% to 40% of the United States jail population, probably higher. Those numbers are insane. They are insane. But then look at them. But then look at this. You find that there's more Black people on the south side of Chicago in the city. I'm not talking about the west side. It's more Black people on the south side of Chicago than whites that live in Wyoming, Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota. Get out of here. See what I'm saying?
It's I've always wondered, and I haven't done this math, you guys, so the math might not math, but I've always wondered if you were to add up the data, like take the data yourself and then add it up, if it would equal 345 million people, in the country. And I don't think that that's ever going to add up. So then you take the people and when that doesn't add up, what do you do with this information?
How do they count? How does the Constitution say you should count Black people?
They don't.
Yes, it does.
What,
yes,
3/5?
Thank you.
But it wasn't that taken away when we were given the opportunity to become citizens?
Yes.
And then it's still there, though?
Of course. Okay, let's look at it from this perspective. In 1865, at the end of the Civil War, they said it was 4 million Black people, right? But if they were talking 2/5, then in reality, in a sense, it was really about 7 to 10 million, right?
Right.
Because the slavers wouldn't count correctly. So then, therefore, they have to make you think you're a minority, so you stay in your place. And we go along with it because we say, why not? Isn't that crazy?
It's
We go along with it because we say, why not?
that's the beauty of it all.
Yeah.
I'm white and I said so is us accepting things that we know are not true because, well, why not? What's the worst that could happen? You know, people should have asked that when people wanted this unity in the bedroom and in public thing. I don't know that I've ever had an issue with anybody lays up with as much as, you know, I've got some lines in the sand, no animals, no children, and then let's let it be consensual because that would be bad.
Yeah.
But children don't have a say and animals definitely don't have a say. So then from there, why is it this push for acceptance unless we've got some self-hate going on? And you might not like yourself because you don't look like everybody else. So you're not doing the things that everybody else are doing. But that's like in the chat earlier, the shame. You know, you're in these communities and then you are made to feel shame or guilt because you're not doing these things. You want to be original. You want to be you, but you also want to follow this rule. But shit, if nobody's following the rule, then what's the rule? Is the rule that nobody follows the rule? It's a paradox, right?
Yeah, I think so. You know, just like Black Lyron says, please do a call-in show soon. Some of us would love to join the conversation. You know, I'm sorry. Maybe Eve can do that. I know Tariq does that stuff. I'll be woke at. I might go to sleep and wake up around 2:30 and go back to sleep. But no, I do not have time for that. Because see, the thing is, this is that I don't have time. I don't have time for talking to stupid people all the time. I'll do it here, and I'll do it with the people in the chat. But you know, the thing is, I mean, everybody coming, they always asking Tariq, what is FBA? Yeah, fam, get out of here. Get out of here. You know, the same old stuff. But the thing is, this is that here's the beauty of it. And here, the beauty of it is this is that, you know, we're the only people that we can talk shit to our damn enslavers, and what do? As long as you're not identified as a leader, you're okay.
Hey,
Now
okay.
if you're a leader, well, they got to kill your ass.
They got to kill you if you're a leader. When you're not the leader, they can just you know.
They had to ignore you because you don't have any influence.
It's crazy. I've told people very plainly that everybody doesn't need the mic. And I believe that with my heart of hearts, as much as I do think that everybody's owed or supposed to have an opinion. Like you're supposed to feel something about things. Maybe you don't feel as strongly about something as somebody else does, but then you should feel something. A lot of us have been desensitized, and it's by design, because once you start to feel something, you want to do something. We are not people who just sit on information, especially if it's to our detriment. I mean, we might tell everybody, and that could be to our detriment, but then it's still a sound the alarm type of event, because you're not going to get us all, because I think internally, we know that it's a numbers game. You know, they just been lying about these numbers. And if push comes to shove, you know, we're going to do the things. But
you know, they lying. You know, they lying about the numbers. You see, whenever we get mad, like with Floyd and the rest of them, and whenever we get mad and get ready to turn out, they got to bring them some appeasement and shit, or they got to go find somebody to give them some stuff, you know, or stuff. So, you know, they would never appease us, period. Okay, then they go to court, they change this law, that law. Then we go back to court and we change that law, this law. So it's like playing tennis. But at the same time, I remember when I was growing up, the vast majority of many black people, women, was on the rolls. You know, now you find very few. You find most of the people on 8 are white. You may find black men and women getting a stipend, you know, food stamps, But most of us aren't living off of aid no more like it was when I was growing up.
Right.
And that's because the fact, in the sense, is that we fight and we had the opportunities. And see, here's the beauty of it is that, you know, I was looking at this thing the other day, and they was in the Gaza. They was in the Gaza. And so then they was blowing up all these damn tents, and these Arabs all over the damn place, dead and shit. Then they showed this brother. I'm here in my tent, and then this brother dug a damn 6-foot hole up under his tent. But I get underground. Damn straight. I said, damn. I said, I don't care where brother at. You can put a brother in the middle of anywhere, but we're gonna think of something. We're gonna think of some way to survive. We can't help it.
He said that. Did you hear about the little boy who got lost in the lion safari for 5 days? Little black boy. This shit's crazy because white people they ain't afraid of nothing but a nigga.
You got that right.
This little black boy, African boy, I don't know, melanated boy, 5 days with the lions, tigers, and bears and shit, and he doesn't die. They find him. I guess he got lost on a safari trip or something like that. Family notifies authority, but it takes 5 days to find him. But he's so creative, and there's a better word, but he lays low. He finds the water. He's eating fruits and berries, just things that he's able to scavenge, and they find him. White people get jobs with orcas, killer whales, like Free Willy. Everybody thought Free Willy was so cool and shit. And no, there's an apex predator in an environment we don't exist in naturally, right? So then it's like, no, you go get a job with this Free Willy, and then you're surprised when it turns on you. Or the circus people. I've seen so many lions turn. They say turn. They turned on their trainer. Did they, or did they just do the things that lions?
Yeah, like the guy with the remember the white guy, the two white guys that used to be in Vegas, and one of the lions turned on him.
Right, and that was, oh my gosh. And I love these instances. It's what Neely Fuller. I had a couple conversations with him at one point, and he told me that I overcomplicate things and that everything is simple. And that once you take things to the simplistic, it's like nature. And then you can look at nature and see that there's already an example, as above, so below, and all of these different things. So nature's fighting back against this anomaly. So maybe use the example. And it's like, well, damn, we have to wait for the whales and the dolphins to start fighting back. Like, damn, you had to wait for the dolphins to start fighting back before you start doing something about the things that you say mean something to you. But that's because you don't really feel it. So I find that I'm like-minded, like you, and maybe like you, Black Laren, but I'm kind of glad Dr. Winters doesn't have a call-in show, because just because you are intelligent, it doesn't mean that you have to talk on the topic. As much as your commentary in the chat, I think we appreciate it because it adds to the conversation. Smart people listen to Jason Black and excuse dumb behavior. I was a smart person, following the Jason Black code, because if Black people do have any religion, it is in our safe zones, standards that the people around us follow, that we also will follow, keeping up with the Joneses, whatever little cult that you're in that's not this Blackness, like my background. It is like a religion, but are you willing to die for it? And as many of us have died for us, like Jesus, and we didn't have a say in it, it's like Jesus didn't know it was going to be saving everybody, probably like Jesus. Yeah. I say all that to say that it's
But we do have our martyrs. We have our martyrs. It's just like we have our martyrs, and that was a symbolism. To see, because on the one hand is that Eve, your family taught you that you better fight, nigga.
They also taught you that you better not have no questions. So I'm like,
that's right. That's right. You have no questions. You have no questions, but you also fight. See, I'm from a working class family. You're from a middle class family. From a working class family, I learned to negotiate. From a working class family, you learn to negotiate. And you say what you mean and do what you mean, but you try to slowly get other people to see where you're coming from. You came from a middle class family, and see, we need middle class people like you, because see, middle class people, their parents taught them this is the right thing, Eve. If somebody's doing wrong, you tell them to kiss your ass, and this is what you've been taught. You've been taught that. So I can whip your ass, I can beat you, but I can never make you turn against what you believe in, your principles. See, but as a working class person, you're not going to have to whoop my ass, because the thing is, that I'm going to try to get you to see where I'm coming from.
Negotiation.
Through negotiation, because I understand that everything is transactional. Because of the fact, in a sense, that I learned from being in a big family, that you had to, in a sense, negotiate to get the things that you want. I want 2 cookies. Mary, in the sense of the baby, she gonna get 3 cookies, but I want her to get 1 cookie, and I get those 2. So come on, vibe.
That's beautiful, because I find that the things that it's like, I guess it's growing up in the church. I learned that be careful what you pray for, because you're gonna get it. You pray,
you're gonna get it,
and you're gonna get a lot of lessons to practice this patience that you say you want, right? But nobody thinks about it like that. But then I also have to think about the fact that it's the programming of it all. I have a very weird programming, from my parents, to the duality of the different churches, to the middle class upbringing that you talk about, but also seeing my family have levels and layers. How do we have millionaires and people on stamps? That doesn't make any sense, because we family, right? But then we're only family for certain things. But then it's like, damn, that's kind of like church, where it doesn't matter what you do during the week. Some bitches is rolling out of the club and going to church, because all is absolved after you give that testimony. And I'd never seen that at like school church, but at Black church,
that's right.
You can be all sorts of crack-headed out. But then this is where I guess one of them lessons that I learned: you listen to a crackhead who done been a crackhead for 30 years, because that joker ain't dying. They don't get sick. They not catching the vid. They don't get the flu.
That's why I told you, as a Black person, we cannot have a religion, because we cannot have a standard. And we could never have a standard, because to have a standard means that you have to kick out the vast majority of the church, who are baby mamas and baby daddies. You have to kick them all out of the damn church, so you don't have no church.
And
you have no community.
You say that, right? Because then white people, and maybe a lot of Black people don't know this. This might be my schooling giving me an advantage, but white people did that. If you didn't follow the rules, they kicked you out the church. You might say that, well, we formed a new church, but no, they kicked y'all asses out the church because you weren't doing the things that they said that you needed to be doing. And y'all formed a new church, and then the new church is very similar to that old church, except, well, now you can have a wife, and now you can do these things. And I always thought that was very strange, to have all these different types of Christianity, unless at the end of the day, it's just, who do you fuck with? And then all of y'all can be together, like when you're on the same team and we're all praying that we win. But then that other team is also praying that they win. So then who got the the deeper, stronger prayers. Like, who wins?
That's right. And the most important thing is this: is that it's just like what's coming. I'm gonna go back to how we began. My first abusive relationship was with God, conditioned to not trust in myself, to not think for myself, to not listen to my needs, to repress natural desires and feelings. Isn't that what we do? Isn't that's the first thing you learn growing up, and what your parents try to teach you. Conditioned to believe I am worthless, broken and sinful, conditioned to believe I needed to be saved. And in order to be saved, I needed to submit myself completely to his will, whatever may come. Threatened that if I ever spoke up against abuse or voiced my question, I would be shunned. And in all that, I was taught to believe this was from a loving God. Yes. But see, that's not what you were taught. See, as a Black person, you were taught in the sense that you have an individual experience. You were taught in the sense that you can speak truth to power, you see? And you were taught in the senses that everything is not what it seems, you see? And so then what you find is that you have to have this reality. And what is the reality? The reality, in a sense, is love. The reality is trust. The reality is truth. But anyway, we've went 2 hours. Okay, Eve, getting over abusive relationship with God. How do we get over our abusive relationship with God? And we all had it.
I got you. To put it succinctly, it's to accept the fact that you don't know everything. It's so simple. Once you get there, you're going to be good, because God is all knowing, all powerful, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, all these words that I can't tell you what the definitions are right now because my dictionary is in the other room. But it's like we have a relationship with the Creator because we are beings that can create. From there, what are you doing? Right? And if you feel like how I feel, then I hope that you're doing things that make sense, because you're part of the abuse when you don't do something. You're the family member who doesn't say something when your little niece, nephew, cousin, sister, brother, whatever, told you that somebody was doing something to them, and you were like, okay, but they paying the bills, or but they not fucking everybody, or well, you're 14, it's okay, or whatever the fuck. And I don't like the fact that we've been so desensitized to our own shit that we won't do anything about it, but we can watch the news, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and see people being blown to bits. I don't like to watch people being blown to bits, but I seen a goddamn person, boom, gone. Like they were on the corner and then they were not on the corner anymore. That doesn't happen over here. And I'm glad it doesn't happen over here. But it's like, how do you care more about that than you do about
Let's qualify that.
Well, only because
it doesn't happen anymore
like that now.
Right. Now that's good.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm sorry, because I get sloppy when I'm excited. Unlearn moment. Don't get sloppy when you're excited. Just slow down. At the end of the day, when we can't see ourselves in the plate and then want to do something about our situation, that's like self-inflicted harm. And I've always said that self-inflicted wounds hurt the most, because when you hit that funny bone, the shit's not funny. It hurts, and nobody can feel that pain. You hit your funny bone, it's not going to be the same as me hitting my funny bone, and you can't quantify that for anybody as much.
I got to ask you a question, Eve. I've been wanting to have an answer to this. Maybe you can help me. Why the hell did people tell us we had a funny bone, but when you hit it, that hurt like a mother? It wasn't funny. Why did they teach us that lie? Number
2, my son, our oldest son, he told me the answer to this question.
Go ahead.
Listen to your children. They be knowing shit. He said it's because it felt funny. And I was like, what? You are so right, because it does feel funny. It's not funny. It's not funny, but it does feel funny. And I'm like, there might be some more science behind that or whatever, but just that understanding of why it's called that from I think he was 7 at the time. I'm like, I'm with it. You know, they call unrelated, and I know we're over, but whatever. They the sanding sugar that you use for cupcakes and cookies and stuff like that, you know, you got different colors. They call it sweet salt, and they call cayenne pepper spicy salt. And I've told them that salt is this, you know, and we've had all sorts of experiments, and they are scientifically inclined, but just how they labeled things before they understood things, I like it, because they got salt. Put salt on food. Okay, well that's the red salt. That's the spicy salt. I don't want that. I do want that. Or that's the sweet salt. Can we have some sweet salt? No, it's not salt, baby. It's sugar at this point. It's just straight sugar. But then, fine, whatever you want. We all know what we're talking about, and that's the point. Do we get stuck because we're not saying the right word? Because of a semantics argument, we have to be accurate. If you're not accurate, it's not going to happen. Because I think that matters. Calling for Jesus when you mean Jehovah.
Yeah.
That maybe your message gets heard, but it doesn't get followed through. I learned about Ogun from Tariq because of his tattoo, and he was talking about it. But whoa, what a story. To kill everybody who fucked with you because they weren't talking to you when you needed them to talk. But sometimes there's a lesson in saying less and talking too much. And, you know, I love us. We're layered and leveled. And when you get over the fact that you don't know everything, then you can open up to these other things. Last point. I had this person in my Sunday school class. They weren't a student. Like, they weren't one of my minis. They weren't one of the minis. It was an adult. And they would comment like, why are you talking about Mayans and Incas at FBA Sunday school? Why are you talking
about? Is it a male or female?
I don't know. It had a female avatar, but like a male name.
Oh, it was on your on my
YouTube
program. Okay.
Well, like on YouTube, because like we share it live, but then it comes off and goes on the Patreon and stuff. But anyway, they've been in my chat a lot for Sunday school, not recently, so maybe they're gone. But they would say things like, why are you talking about Anansi? Or why are you letting this African, I thought you didn't like tethers, I thought you FBA da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, wonderful, because we are so much more than the little itty bitty box that you're trying to put us in. And every single time I see an opportunity to show the minis, like, this is exactly what we've been talking about. Like, you're gonna see the scent, and then what do you do with it? Do you hone in on it, focus on it, and then miss the lesson that you were trying to teach? Or do you just teach the lesson because at the end of the day, this person is gonna get it or they're not gonna get it? And when you stop trying to beat shit into people, not only do you feel a lot lighter or at peace, but you can focus on these other things. And, you know, the unlearning. It's a lot of unlearning. You might want to lighten that load by, you know, letting go of some things. So let go and let God. I'm sorry.
Again, family, this is getting over my abusive relationship with God. And all of us, in a sense, when you think about the fact that you first knew God as someone who could torture you, that you first knew God as in a sense, the person who is going to dominate you, we have to try to get over that. You guys have a great evening.
If you're not going to speak up, you're the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, you're the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, you're the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, you're the ones who do. Vampires, they prey on your fears till them stay away. Vampires, they prey on control your energy. Don't let them take your energy. Don't let them take control your energy. Distraction away from me. I am you and control your energy. Don't let them take your energy. Don't let them suck your energy. It's a distraction away from me. I am you and you are me. If you're not going to speak up for the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up for the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up for the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up for the ones who don't follow nobody but yourself. Don't follow. I said nobody but yourself. Don't follow nobody but yourself. Don't follow yourself. Nobody, yourself. Nobody but yourself.
The only thing that can save you is be one, be one, be one. To fight Cage, you must stay